Yay Networks.
I'm pretty sure that podcasts are supposed to have like a little, quick intro mission statement type deal.
Yeah.
Junkyard Mayhem doesn't really have that.
You didn't prepare one?
No. I mean, generally it's taking you even deeper into our interabled relationship.
But how we do that, I guess, really depends on the week.
Dispelling myths about disability.
No, that's way too specific.
Breaking down barriers.
No.
Erasing stigma.
Okay.
Junkyard Mayhem with Shane and Hannah Burton.
Oh, you're doing the whole thing. Okay.
Hannah, what are we talking about this week?
Oh boy, Shane, it's a big week. We're talking about pregnancy, parenting, IVF.
Yes.
All those things.
We are also going to be introducing one of our first recurring segments.
And it's a weird one. I'm a little worried about it.
What's it called, Hannah?
It's called Hypothetical Freaks.
We're going to play a little game called Hypothetical Freaks.
We're just going to keep it a secret. That's all it's called. And you can wonder what that is until we get to it.
But we're really excited to tell you a lot more about our pregnancy journey today.
Yeah.
The history of it, what's been going on recently with our IVF appointments. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
We recorded a podcast.
I know.
We did it. We did episode 1.
Yep. This is episode 2.
How did you feel about episode 1?
I loved it. I thought it was really fun.
Talking has not always been your strong suit.
I know.
Do you remember in the early days of YouTube?
When we recorded our first ever YouTube video, I remember, in general, it was Shane's idea.
Hannah's a shy introvert, just so everyone knows.
Emphasis on shy. And so when we recorded our first video, Shane was really the mind behind it. And he was like, let's do this first, this now. And so the first scene was just us introducing ourselves. And he was like, okay, just say, hi, I'm Hannah.
Just say your name.
Yeah. And then Shane was like, and then I'll take it from there. And it took me 10 takes to look into the camera and say, hi, I'm Hannah. And if you watch it now, I'm kind of giggly and maybe it comes across as I'm having fun. I was
you were so nervous.
I was freaking out. I could not say, hi, I'm Hannah. And I don't really look into the camera lens. I'm looking off to the side. It was awful.
We had to have you know how a sports coach will sit down with a player before a big game and be like, you need to go out there. And I know it's going to be hard, and you're going to suffer, but you're going to do it, and we're going to take home that trophy. We had to, pep talk you up.
I know.
You're going to go out there. You're going to say your name.
And the only reason I did it is because I knew that no one would watch.
Uh-huh.
If I had known that video would ever get, hundreds of thousands of views, I never ever would have been able to say, hi, I'm Hannah.
But you've come so far.
Yes, thank you.
In your comfort with speaking.
Yep.
To cameras, to microphones, to people.
We do speaking engagements where the whole thing is just us talking to a crowd.
And I wish I could emphasize, the years before we did any of this stuff.
Yeah.
You were pretty shy.
I know. And I'm still shy.
You are shy. Yeah.
You know.
My tummy's rumbling.
Your tummy really loud.
I hope that mic picks it up so well. Just so everyone knows, I have a mic placed directly against my stomach. We're thinking that it might be a nice background to have a little rumble tumble every once in a while.
That would be really mayhemy, but that's not true. Thank God.
But yeah, Hannah's shy, and everyone give her a big round of applause for doing a podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Because that's not something for a shy person.
Yeah, but we're just sitting here talking to each, I'm just talking to you,
just
so
you
it feels
and me,
fine.
And a producer, and an editor.
And the cameras and the microphones. But I would love for some of my high school teachers to know what my job is now, to see me at a speaking engagement. They would be the girl that would not raise her hand, would not speak in any class for 4 years is doing speaking engagements. What happened?
You've come a long, long way.
I know.
All right. Well, I think we should get into our pregnancy journey.
Yeah.
Let's take a real quick break. I'm going to smack my stomach a few times.
Get it to rumble up.
Get the rest of the rumbles out. And we'll be back soon.
All right, we're back from our break.
We are back.
Last week, we announced that we had started our IVF journey.
Oh, boy.
So now we're going to talk about that.
That feels like a pretty big announcement.
It's a huge announcement.
I've been in my own life. Like I'm coming to terms with it right now.
Yeah, and I feel like we haven't. It's fairly recent, and I feel like we haven't had, too many discussions about like, oh my God, this is
We're doing it.
happening.
And we are doing it, but we just had our first major appointment, and we learned some stuff which we'll share.
Yep.
But I think we should begin by talking about the fact that a not insignificant portion of the public doesn't think we should have kids, strongly.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we make a video about, having kids or like post anything about it, we inevitably get comments from people saying that we shouldn't have kids. And obviously the comments are a wide range of different reasons that they think we shouldn't have kids, but I feel like the two main ones that come up over and over again are either genetics, like Shane shouldn't pass down his genes, or parenting ability. Like Shane would be a bad parent. I would be, I couldn't handle being a parent because I have Shane also.
Well, actually, here, I have 3 comments.
Oh, boy.
That I found. I found these in literally 30 seconds this morning. So maybe you can read some comments. These are from real people. These are real human beings out in the world leaving these on our videos. So.
I haven't seen these yet. And no. I don't read a lot of our comments because I know that these are sprinkled in. So this will be fun. Okay. Should I say who they're from? This one's from
Maybe
Max.
Just the first name. Yeah.
I won't put his last name. This one's from Max. Hannah is going to be burnt out having kids to look after and having Shane to look after. He's basically like a baby as it is. She's seriously wasting her youth away. I feel for her. Wow, wasting my youth.
I love that we get this a lot, that you're wasting your youth
by
being with me. If you've followed our journey on YouTube, we've lived a ridiculously adventurous life.
Well, that's the best part is Max, I would love to know what your life is, Max. And I would love for you to genuinely think about what my life is.
And compare who's wasting their youth.
Yeah. What are you up to, Max? Leaving these comments on the internet. What are you doing with your... I don't know if he's young.
Because we did a speaking engagement for Google last week.
I know.
So.
Yeah, and okay.
Hannah's going to get real fired up.
No, exactly. That's why I don't read these comments is because I get so fired up. But just that general idea that I'm wasting my life, wasting my youth, whatever. I don't understand where people even, I don't think they're actually thinking it through.
Yeah.
They see you having a disability and they're her life must suck without being oh my gosh, wow. They're
really
seem
happy.
to have, they're really happy. They seem to have a great thing going. Look at all the travel that they're doing. Wow, she's saying that she's happy, so I should believe her. That could be a thing. And then the whole burnt out about having kids thing. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes away a lot of your, autonomy.
Yeah, I mean, all of these comments are just disregarding our thoughts.
Yeah, they assume that you're not considering what will be involved to have a kid.
Yep.
It also really assumes that my caregiving is a 24/7, deeply intensive, and fatiguing thing.
Yep.
Is it?
No.
Imagine if you were yes, Shane.
Yes, I was I have something to tell you. No, exactly. Shane, to say that he's basically a baby. Okay. I mean,
true,
first
because
of all,
I do get burps.
But yeah, I think Shane is way more independent than people assume. I think a lot of these people leaving comments haven't even watched one full video.
Yeah.
I assume that they're just looking at us as a still photo and they're he can't do anything.
And I clearly don't know very many people that use wheelchairs.
Yeah, obviously not.
Hannah helps me get out of bed, get ready. It takes maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
She gets me set up to work on my laptop, and then I'm good.
We've also openly on our channel talked about the possibility of hiring caregivers when we do have kids. Yep. How that will probably, or even when I'm pregnant, how that'll probably be a thing.
So many people, disabled and non-disabled, hire a nanny.
Oh, yeah,
when they have kids.
Yeah.
That's a very normal thing.
Yeah.
To help with taking care of the baby.
Ever heard of a babysitter? Literally.
All right, let's read another comment.
All right, this one's from Mark. First one was Max. This one's Mark. I'm sensing a pattern.
I'm noticing a trend. People with M's tend to be more ableist than others. We need to study this further.
All right. Mark says, the thought of these two having children is extremely disturbing. Oh, he didn't elaborate as to why.
It's obvious, Hannah. Because I use a wheelchair.
Well, I would love to know what Mark's specific, why it's extremely disturbing to him. I would love to have known why.
I just put that one because I thought it was a fun little, we have hundreds of people, probably thousands out there, who feel that us having children is extremely disturbing.
There's a lot of extremely disturbing things out there, but
just
I don't think that should be
see
one.
what we name it. Junkyard. All right, we have one more. It's a great one.
All right, this one is from EK. They're hiding their identity.
I know.
Just letters. Everyone with that gene needs to stop. Well, I'm gonna fix the grammatical errors and read it as EK intended, even though that's not how they wrote it. Everyone with that gene needs to stop having biological kids. To be so selfish that you knowingly bring kids with such carrier genes is terrible. I would be so mad at my parents. Well, EK, first of all, 1 in 40 people have the SMA gene. So you think 1 in 40 people should never have kids. And I would love to find out that EK themselves has the SMA carrier gene and just didn't know it.
Probably doesn't know. I bet they've never done genetic testing.
Odds are you just don't know.
Also, that I would be so mad at my parents.
Yeah.
Whether they mean being a carrier of the disability or having a disability.
That's why I think it's funny is the carrier gene.
Yeah. So for people that aren't familiar, this is getting into genetics here a little bit. EK is probably a geneticist said that. You can have the carrier gene for SMA but not exhibit any symptoms. And then
you have to pass it on. So both of Shane's parents carried the gene and just didn't know it.
They didn't have SMA, but they carried the gene.
Yeah.
And then their kids had a 1 in 4 chance of having it. Hannah and I have done Hannah's done genetic testing.
Yeah.
I'm obviously a carrier.
You have done genetic testing.
All the genes.
We knew that result.
And Hannah is not a carrier. So our kids they will not have SMA, but they'll be carriers of the gene.
Yeah, they cannot have SMA, but they'll carry it.
So either way, if you're saying that you would be so mad at your parents if you were a carrier or if you had SMA, that's ridiculous.
I know.
It assumes that a disabled life is not worth living.
Yeah.
I and hundreds of thousands of other disabled people love our lives. I am so happy that my parents had me.
Yeah.
There's not much more to say.
I'm also happy that your parents had you.
So I don't think the argument of disabled people or carriers of disabled genes should be mad at their parents is a fair or very nice one.
No, not at all. Something that these comments didn't really touch on, but we get these comments a lot, is Shane's parenting ability.
Yes.
I feel like people question your ability to be a father in general.
People will say things like, he won't even be able to change its diaper. He'll never be a good father.
And I think mothers with SMA or people who want to be mothers who don't have kids yet get more shit from strangers, about their parenting ability because there's the expectation of what mothering looks like versus fathering. But I do think it's funny that all of a sudden all these people are like, a father must change the diaper 100% of the time when it's your responsibility.
It is widely the bane of mothers' existence that their partners are not doing enough to take care.
That's such a widespread thing in our society is that the father isn't doing as much hands-on care of the child, and then all of a sudden people are and people defend that. They're like, well, the father's doing this. It's all horrible stuff. But then when it's we talk about having kids, they're like, but Shane won't be able to 100% of the time feed the baby. So
yeah.
They've never brought that up in any other relationship ever. And
okay, obviously we're going to make adaptations and figure out creative ways that I can physically be involved in the baby's care. That's just how we're going to do things.
Yeah.
So A, you're wrong on that level, just shut up. And B, I, as a fully self-actualized adult, never think about the fact that my mom and dad did a really good job changing my diaper. That is not the type of value or skills that I care about. No one does.
Yeah.
No one's I am where I am today because my parents, my dad was physically able to put me in the bathtub.
Yeah.
It's about the knowledge and the love.
Presence, just
the
being
love
there.
and just all the emotional things that you give to a kid.
Yeah.
And I can do all of that. Disability doesn't stop you from being able to, read your kid a book.
Exactly. I think one of my favorite memories with my dad is him reading to me. Like that was our bonding activity. And so when I see comments, I've seen ones that are literally like, he won't be able to throw a baseball with his son. You know, like first of all, okay, that's a very stereotypical activity. And second of all, I can throw a baseball with our children.
You're going to be teaching them baseball. And I'm going to be right next to you critiquing both your mechanics and their mechanics. So really, I'm going to be the one that teaches them baseball.
So you're going to ruin the activity in general. But
Anna, your stride needs to be a bit longer.
Follow through.
Here, let Dad do it. Like this. The ball just rolls off my lap.
And I think for me, my favorite activity with my dad was him reading to me. You know, like we didn't do like hiking together. It was the reading.
Right, but how did you change your diapers? Was he good at it or bad at it?
I think people need to expand their view of like what a father does with it, you know, his children.
Yeah, exactly. And also stop leaving horrible comments on pages of disabled people who are saying that they want to have kids.
Yes.
So Hannah and I have been, we've been together for almost 7 years now. We've been married for 2.5 years. And we began thinking and talking seriously about having kids, maybe 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah, probably 2 years.
When we felt like we were at a good position in life where, you know, we can support a child, we can be comfortable, we can provide for it, and we are like individually ready to like take that leap.
Yeah.
Are we? I think that's true. Right?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, like 2 years ago is when we started talking about it. At that point, I was like, I want a kid. Like, I'm ready. And then Shane was more like, I don't know if I'm ready yet. I'm really enjoying how things are. And the more we talked about like what a baby would actually mean, like in this moment, we wouldn't be able to be watching TV. Like we would literally be talking about that. Everything we're doing, we would not be able to go on this last minute spontaneous trip, whatever it is. Like we realized how much a child would actually impact every second of our day and how much we liked how things were. So for 2 years, we've been thinking about that, talking about it. And now I think we're finally at a place where we're ready to actually have
comfortable with being a bit more settled. And we've learn more about how, you know, a baby isn't like the end of spontaneity.
And we really do want to travel with our kids. I think for me, it was more like, I want to be able to watch TV whenever I want.
It's really, really about TV.
I want to be able to sleep whenever I want, all that stuff. So for 2 years, I've been mulling that over.
And so like maybe in the past year, 6 months, we began trying. And I know that's like a weird thing to share, but we did, and we were open about that online, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And we kept trying, and nothing happened. And we kept trying, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
So I decided to take an at-home fertility test to see what might or might not be going on. And my results were abysmal, to put it plainly.
Yep.
I had low counts of almost everything.
Everything you need.
Everything you need. And I'm going to brag here.
Okay.
Except for my volume measurement.
Yeah, it was way above average. And that is just absurd because I think that's the one thing that doesn't particularly help.
It was off the charts.
It was like the quality, awful.
Quality, terrible, but there's
Quantity,
a lot of it.
You're good there. Great.
So that's kind of what I'm hanging my pride on right now is my volume. But anyway, my numbers were pretty bad.
Yeah.
And that was when we were like, oh, this might be a bit harder than we imagined.
Yeah. So when we got those results, that was a few months ago. And at that point, we started talking about what our options actually were, you know, because the odds are like we're pretty much not going to have, you know, a kid naturally by accident or like trying whatever. So at that point, we started researching IVF. That seemed like probably the best way to go about it. Yeah,
I remember feeling kind of upset. It was a difficult thing for me. I've always sort of just assumed that I'd be totally good to have a biological kid. And so to receive that information, we went through a couple of days where, you know, we were like not in the greatest moods, but we were just like, all right, we're going to figure it out. We're going to get through it. We also should talk about adoption a little bit because that's a whole nother piece to the puzzle that we've been talking about for a long time.
Yeah, Shane and I have done the training that's required here in Minnesota for the state foster care and adoption system. which was something we were exploring and did that training because of that. But I think the main reason we stopped for now that path is that we want to spend more time in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
We went there last winter. We're going there again this winter.
Yeah.
And, splitting our time leaving for the winter in Minnesota is really nice. And that would not really be possible if we were like adopting a child from Minnesota who's like extended family is obviously still here. That didn't feel right. So
it needs to be a bit more stability than that.
Yeah.
We're just like, we're traveling all around.
Yeah, exactly. So we're still like open to that, talking about it. But for now we are
moving forward with the IVF path.
Exactly.
And we had our first appointment.
We did.
It was exciting and nerve-wracking.
It was so nerve-wracking.
My hands were sweating so much. Speaking of Grubs.
I noticed.
We met with our doctor last week, and it went really well. And I don't know if this is like stupid of me, but I was sort of half expecting her, even though like we haven't done any like very legit tests like through their clinic. I was like half expecting her to be like, oh, your numbers for that at-home test were that low, then no way, we can't help you. I was expecting her to like kick us out.
I know. I was expecting to be turned away for like any number of reasons, but not that one, because I knew that with IVF, like you technically only need like one sperm, right? Like if they're doing the 1-to-1 thing.
Yeah.
So, I didn't think she would be like, absolutely not. But for that reason, but for other reasons, I was a little worried she would be like, we're not working with you because of whatever reason.
And I felt so dumb, but I was like, okay, let's say like you're looking at my sample and there's like a couple that are like, that
looking
would
good?
work, that are looking good. Are you able to like select those?
She was like,
and
yes.
I was so nervous she was gonna be like, no. But she was like, yeah, like we can pick out the ones that, and so I left the meeting feeling empowered and like positive about this process.
Absolutely.
But the journey is going to require a lot.
Yeah.
We're
right at the beginning and there's a ton coming.
I mean, way more for you. But
I know, like so Shane has his first testing day. Like our next thing is a whole day of testing. And I mean, I have a whole day of testing. Shane has one.
I have one very specific test.
Yeah, semen analysis.
Which you can imagine.
Yeah, nice for you. And then I have like all of these invasive tests and like mock procedures. It's going to be quite a day.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And now, without further ado, with all of this in mind, we are going to play our first game on Junkyard Mayhem.
Oh boy.
That we have named Hypothetical Freaks.
That name is courtesy of me.
That's a great name.
It sounds like something that you would name a segment, but I named it.
It does. It's a very Junkyard Mayhem name.
It is.
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't we take a quick break and then we'll come back and explain what the hell Hypothetical Freaks is and how the hell it relates to our pregnancy journey. So here we go. We are back and it's time to play Hypothetical Freaks.
Shane, we have never played this game publicly before.
No, but we play it alone all the time, and we've never named it.
Exactly. I was going to say, not as a game.
Yeah.
But this is something that we do all the time together, and we were like, ooh, what if we made it a segment? And now I'm having a little bit of stage fright. It's really, really weird.
I'll explain a little bit about what this is. So whenever Hannah and I are going to do something scary or stressful or important, we get nervous, as you do, You're on your way, and you're just like fretting about how it's going to go. The way that Hannah and I naturally handle that is to begin making jokes together about what hypothetical scenarios we could enact to make these situations go as awkwardly or as horribly as humanly possible.
And this is something that I've always done. Do you remember before our first visit, before we met in person, obviously I was a nervous wreck. It to this day, it was probably the scariest day of my life because I was flying alone for the first time across the country, meeting this person that I had never met, that I was in love with. Like, it was just a lot. And the night before, I was so nervous. And my friend and I sat down and made a list of things that I could do to like ruin the weekend, how I could be the weirdest, and it was things like only wear like a full body Lycra suit and like all these things that I could do to freak Shane's family out. And like ruin the whole thing. And it made me feel better because I was like, well, I'm not going to do those things, so it'll probably go fine.
Exactly. And even if like all that comes of it is that you laugh about the situation, then
that's the whole point.
Then you won the game. You won Hypothetical Freaks because you're not stressing, you're laughing. So with my day of sperm testing, that sounds like a lot more than it really is.
I know.
With my sperm test and Hannah's day of testing approaching, let's play Hypothetical Freaks and talk about what we can do to make those really awkward. I have one to begin if you want me to.
Oh, yeah. Kick it off, Shane. Go ahead.
So I think how I'm going to do is I am going to enter the sample collection room.
Yeah.
And when they close the door and leave, I am going to begin to banshee scream at the top of my lungs. Just, when they inevitably come back in a rush and fling open the door, I'm going to stop and I'm going to look at them very like alarmed and say, what? And they're like, are you okay? And I'm going to say, yep, just doing my sample. And then when they close the door again, until they are very disturbed about how I procure my sample.
I think you should also arrive completely naked.
Oh, yeah.
Just ready to go. Just go in there, but naked.
Guys, I thought I would speed up the process.
I can't get undressed out of the home. Yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't know if there'd be a place to change.
When you're doing your testing, I'm going to ask if I can go through the procedures as well, because I want to be able to like relate to you and support you in that way.
So, what are you going to do for the internal ultrasound?
I'm going to ask them if they can internal ultrasound me. As we're going back to the collection room for my test, I'm going to pull a milk jug out of my book bag, an empty milk jug, and I'm going to say to the nurse, oh, I brought my own, don't worry. I brought my own vessel. Don't worry, I sanitized it. I'm not an idiot. As we're doing these tests and stuff, I'm going to be questioning the people that are involved who are just going to be like nurses and stuff. Like they're not going to be our main doctor.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask lots of very kind of concerning questions to make them wonder about, you know, whether or not we should really be parents.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to say more than once, I'm going to ask if they can guarantee that our child will not be evil. I'm going to say I've had a bad experience and not give any more info. But I just need proof, or I need a guarantee that it won't be evil.
I've had experience. All right. Well, I feel better already about these appointments.
Yeah. I mean, I think that these little jokes should make you feel a lot better about your very invasive and painful procedures that you have coming up.
Well, I felt better for like 30 seconds. Now I'm thinking about it again.
The only problem is like during the procedure, you can't think of them and laugh.
I know.
Because I think that will make the procedure hurt more, probably.
God.
All right, everyone. That was Hypothetical Freaks.
Yeah.
We're going to play that again. I love this game.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Well, that was episode 2 of Junkyard Mayhem.
Oh, we did it.
We did it. Thank you for listening.
Do we have to do more than 2, or is 2 enough?
Yeah, I think we'll just call it at 2.
This is a 2-part podcast. We hope you enjoyed. No, we'll be back next week with who knows what.
Yep.
All right, I think I finally figured out a tagline to end the episode with.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
It's a junkyard out there. Pull up your boots and get ready to plunge into the mayhem.
Oh, wow. That's very visual.
Goodbye.